Can we tell if we have people?
It looks like we have 4.
Now, when we did Facebook Church on Sunday, we went ahead and sang the hymns, so we'll go ahead and sing the hymns tonight.
You lead, we'll follow.
You would not recognize the note I started on. It would just be a train wreck.
Give me a seat.
Couldn't give you a seat if my life depended on it. Okay, so this trackpad works opposite mine. Remind us.
And if anybody needs a mouse, we have them in the closet, I can grab them for you. And it is a touchscreen computer, so.
Oh, lovely.
Well, then I'm sure to get lost. I have 7 o'clock. Are we ready to begin? I'll call the meeting to order. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's the end of my mic tether, so I'll try to speak up. So, good evening, all. Thank you for your flexibility. This is most extraordinary, of course, but we will make the best of a bad lot. The staff have worked really hard to arrange this, and we'll honor their efforts. We will begin in the normal way. I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. We have a second. Did you get those?
Mr. Rao, Mr. Nichols.
Then whenever you're ready, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes. The agenda is adopted. I assume we have no staff or patron input. That is correct. Very good. Then as we move on to the president's comments, I would first like to recognize our March employees of the month, Chris Gray and Valerie Knockreiner. He is our assistant principal at the senior high school, and she is the principal secretary at McMillan. So congratulations to them, and thanks to them for all the good work that they do. We'll start with you.
Okay. Saw with no one in here. I just want to say thanks to our administration team and our teachers for being so positive in this crazy time we're in, everything that's going on. We've done a really good job of keeping the children calm and rolling with it as we're figuring everything out and getting new information every day. And also congratulations to our 2 employees of the month.
I guess I just want to say thank you for everybody. I know it's a different time that nobody's been through. It's a fluid situation and changes on a daily basis. So appreciate everybody's efforts to make this thing happen. Thank you.
Second, like you said, thank you for everybody for keeping a positive spirit about it. The teachers and the staff reached out to the kids. I know my kids have enjoyed that. They miss their teachers, but they are doing an awesome job of trying to keep in touch with them, and thank you for that. That's all I got.
I think that's pretty much everybody on top of everybody's mind, so I do appreciate the teachers and how creative they are being with coming up with different ways to reach out to the students and having the video chats and the games and, the parade and all the good things that the teachers are coming up with. It's really helping make it a much better situation.
I am just gonna repeat everything everyone else has said, so I'm just gonna say ditto.
Mr. Burt?
Yeah, I would echo what everyone has said. I appreciate, again, the thoughtfulness that went into the district's response, especially keeping our children fed at a very sort of cat-like time. Having a good meal multiple times a day is something that's that research shows is really, really important. And so I want to applaud everyone who's doing that and putting in extra time to keep our buildings clean, to keep our families fed, and again, just keeping our education as seamless as possible under the rather strange circumstances we find ourselves in. So thank you all.
Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. There are quite a few items in the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda
as presented?
as presented.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a second. I did have, one question I think to ask. In the baseball scoreboard bid, what does it mean, baseball scoreboard from BSN Sports for $18,600 per hour?
This was the total. It's
Okay.
not per hour, it's the total for the bid.
All right. I thought that is an hourly rate. That is. All right, thank you. Are there other questions?
You give me a second, I can fix that right now.
Thank you.
I assume the two-wheel drive pickup's just replacing one of
One of the maintenance trucks.
Are the items declared no longer needed for educational use? Are they going on eBay or do we have?
Some will be eBay, some will be trashed because there's no monetary value.
Other clarification? Whenever you're ready, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Round,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, passes 7-0-0. We have, three bills that require abstentions. So I will move that we pay check number 134441 to the City of Mexico for $1,709.64. Check 134462 to the City of Mexico for $5,718.42. And check 134494 to the University of Missouri Columbia for $6,291.80. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Whenever you're ready, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Round,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Abstain.
Mr. Burt,
Abstain.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, passes 5-0-2. We move along to the reports and presentations, the first of which is the turf update.
So the couple of good weeks of weather really progressed the project quite a ways. I would have brought some pictures, but it was such a nasty day to get up there and take them today. Essentially, the baseball field, they need to put the fences back up. We did discover a water leak in our irrigation system that is in the outfield. We think it might be due to the heavy equipment going back and forth over the top of that. So we're working with ATG to get that repaired. The football field is essentially finished. New goalposts are up, turf is down, the fill and everything is in there. We put the soccer goals out there for the girls to be able to practice, if they had been, if we were still in session, but the turf at the soccer complex is down. And so now really it's just a matter of the fill and fencing around that complex. And then we need to get the track field events, discus, javelin, shot put, all that area complete. So overall, it looks great. It really is impressive. There are people out there getting on the field, kicking balls around, and so I think people are excited to see and be able to get out there and take advantage of it. So, okay.
I assume they're going to keep working and,
Yeah.
They were working Sunday, they look like they were putting fill down Sunday.
Yeah.
if you had to guess, we might have a end date.
I think if we got, as long as it's not raining at this point, they can do the soccer field, even if it's wet. It's gonna be a matter of the fencing around that complex. They're gonna have to wait for it to dry up a little bit. But I would hope, weather cooperating end of the month or first week of April, first couple of weeks of April.
Thank you.
So is it still open to the public? I had somebody call in and ask if the track was open, said they were told that it was shut down.
There's a sign up there that says it is shut down, and basically, Mr. Jackson asked if we needed to do more, and there's no construction going on at that time. Typically, the track is available for people to walk on. And our response really at this point is, as long as nobody's creating a problem out there, we're not gonna run people off.
The way I took it, that they were approached by somebody else, they weren't sure if it was someone with the school or someone with the contractors or what. I had heard it.
Now, in the soccer complex, I'm sure they don't want people out there
Okay, no,
because
this
it's
was
not
the track.
ready to go. The track is fine. Like I said, I've seen athletes out on the football field kicking soccer balls. I'm not sure that we want a pickup game that's got 30 or 40 people out there, but we'll just kind of monitor it and make sure people aren't taking advantage of using the property.
All right, thank you. We have the building reports. Our building leaders are not here for obvious reasons this evening, but if there's a question you want to ask, I'm sure Dr. Templeton will do his best, or we'll make Dr. Nelson try to answer it. Any questions? Then the attendance report is before us. I assume what direction have we gotten from the state in terms of what the closures do to ADA and all that?
So the guidance from the commissioner is that these days are not gonna have to be made up. And the way that the ADA is calculated, you basically get to use the better of 2 years. It's always been the case. And so our ADA funding is not going to be affected by this closure. The only thing I would say on the attendance report is we were, even before this coronavirus scare, we were really being kind of hit pretty good by the flu, the regular flu. So I know those last week to 10 days, attendance was lagging a little bit anyway.
Questions? The vocational follow-up?
Just for your information, there's 2 reports there. One is just Mexico students, and the other one is the entire Heart Career Center, which includes the sending school kids. These reports will give you information about the students who graduated from those programs and whether or not they are continuing their education in a field related to the class they took, or if they're continuing their education in a non-related field, if they're employed in a related field, or not employed in a related field, or they're employed but not in a related field, and then military and so on. So there's definitions on there for each of those codes. You can see the trends. They state, we only have this current year data. But it's pretty similar. Oh, there is, down below, you can see the trends. So you can see the career related is very level over the last 3 years. Or I'm sorry, continuing education related. Employment related is down a little bit. And so I guess if there's any questions on that report, otherwise it's just an informational report that we conduct on those students after they graduate from high school.
Are there benchmarks we'd like to see in terms of how many people are doing which things? Are we hitting our goals if we have goals?
I think the key for us is the number that we don't want to see is that not employed or status unknown. You know, most of those other things are productive, right? One of the things I guess that we do want to see is that kids are taking programs and continuing in them. But then the other side of that is sometimes you take something and you decide, you know, this isn't what I want to do, and that's still a productive end game to doing that. You know, you engage in a class, you think I might like this, you try it out, and then you think, no, this isn't for me. And that's okay too. So really, I think the main thing is we want to make sure we track them all down and that we don't have a lot of basically idle people out there.
Questions? Thank you. Let me pause here for just one moment. Do we have any feedback from our adoring fans? Is everybody, can they hear things and see things?
The feed's good, quality of the picture's good. I had a couple ask for Scott and Nicole to speak up and speak into the microphone. Everything else is good. We got 16 viewers.
Very good, thank you. So the high school follow-up, same informational.
Very similar report. You know, the thing that is most concerning on this report for me, for the class of 2019, is that information not available. I think we need to work harder to make sure that we can reach all of those kids. There are 26 students that we didn't find out what they're doing, and we're not such a big community that we should have been able to track them down a little bit better.
Who's actually responsible for, is it the counselors who are responsible for?
Guidance
tracking that down?
offices at the high school and career center.
Questions? The technology program report is there. Dana Hunt is here if we have questions.
Thanks, Dana.
You're welcome.
No questions? Other than a job well done?
Thank you.
Then we'll move on to the unfinished business. And it's the discussion of the piece of land behind Macmillan. This was brought up last time. In the interest of furtherance, I would like to move that we declare this land surplus property. We have a second. So what questions or comments do we have?
Is it zoned commercial?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that either. It is in a floodplain. We did talk to some people about trying to get some sense of an appraisal on it. And really, you know, we felt like we were gonna end up paying $500 to $700, and really for what the potential value of it is, maybe it wasn't worth that cost, that expense. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of right between some residential and a piece of commercial property, so.
Right. But it's pretty far back behind McMillan, right? From what I see on the map?
Yeah, there's a good amount of space there that would still be school property.
Other questions? Mr. Burt?
No, thank you.
Okay. Then whenever you're ready, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes. So that is declared surplus property 700.
So do we want to advertise that and accept bids for that property, or do we want to employ a realtor to try to sell it?
My preference would be to advertise it and accept bids.
I'm fine with that.
That's, I think that's the right thing to do.
If there's dissent, we'll hear it.
No, I think that's a good idea.
All right, let's go forward with that then. Thank you. On to new business. Apparently school is closed.
So, we sent out an email, I copied the board on that. We made a decision to cancel school, in response to this COVID-19. We're gonna close school through basically our Easter break, that's our scheduled break, and during that time, you know, essentially we are going to try to put some work out there for students to work on, mostly stuff that I would say, I would recommend our teachers put out things that are things that they've already taught that maybe they needed to reinforce. And then over the next couple of weeks, we're also gonna be planning for the possibility of a longer closure, which may be a little bit more targeted or direct in terms of our attempt to make instruction, new learning happen. But we'll be mindful of that and try to strike a balance there. We've got a lot of questions to answer with regard to high school credits, graduation, and some of those things. So we'll spend these weeks planning that. Mostly we'll be working via remote teleconference, video conference, putting our team of people together to do that. We have, and I shared again that email, we intend to pay our employees, our contracted employees, you know, in essence, are assured pay. But over that, however many 2.5 week break that we have scheduled, we're gonna go ahead and pay our non-certified staff, even though that most of them aren't gonna be required to come on work. And then again, we'll develop some plans to ensure that we either find work for them or develop some sort of a schedule where that they can come in and be productive and continue to get paid and not lose any income due to any extended closure. There are certain things that we have to have people come in and do. You know, what was mentioned earlier, the food program. And so we didn't really feel like we could ask some people to work for their pay while we were agreeing to pay others to not come in. So anybody that we call in will receive a little bit of extra compensation above and beyond. And so we've included those rates. Food service is the primary one there. Also payroll will have to be run during that time that we're out. And we are confident that at some point the ground's gonna dry out and we're gonna have to mow grass between now and April 13th. So we are prepared also to compensate for that as needed. Likewise, there are some things that Bethany's probably gonna have to come in and do as well, just as we approve contracts and get ready for some things. So we've listed out what their additional compensation would be. We're gonna try to limit those hours as much as possible. Most of it will be food service, because they will have a daily food program. And then after we put that in place, we'll know if we're overstaffed or understaffed, depending on how many people are coming in, getting meals, and how many people are taking the meals that we are planning to send out. our food service program, we're gonna grab and go at the high school and middle school, so families who want to bring their children up to the school and grab a lunch for that day and a breakfast for the next day. We also are going to deliver, with cooperation with YMCA. They've reached out and wanted to be helpful. So they're gonna deliver, meals to 4 separate sites across the district. And those sites were sites that we felt like, were likely to have their large population of students in that neighborhood or that, you know, some of them are like at a trailer park area, so we have a lot of people there. And there are also kids that we think are likely the ones who would need, the meals. So that's our plan for, food service and the next, few weeks, and we'll spend our time preparing for a possible longer closure. That is likely to come, quite frankly.
Thanks for getting that food service up and running so quickly. I think you guys had that all planned, but the day after we
You know, I
closed,
think,
it was
you know,
really quick, and I know a lot of people were.
Joyce really does a great job, for the district and, you know, follows all the mandates and makes sure that there are reimbursable meals. And then the great thing with YMCA is they operate a summer program at the Y, so they already have some of that training, so there's really not a lot of, you know, it's a good partnership. And then we also had conversations about other things that we might need to. I know the YMCA is talking about trying to provide childcare to like healthcare workers and emergency management type people, police, fire, EMT. And so, you know, we've also had a little bit of conversation with them about how we might be able to help with that too.
So is there room for other people who may want to volunteer to help? Should they contact the Y if they want to help with that kind of stuff, or is it the kind of thing we want to kind of keep?
I don't know at
People
this
out.
point that we need any volunteers. You know, the thing about, in particular with the food service, is there's some minimal amount of training that you need to go through, and we have staff who are trained, and we feel like we can manage that. And if we come up short, we could certainly reach out and try to bring other people in. But we want to try to make sure and keep this a school-based program because, you know, people can with confidence know that it's from the school, it's safe, it's done right.
So when the YMCA takes this food to these other distribution sites, are they going to make some effort? Do you know, maybe it's not fair to ask you this question, but I mean, what we don't want is a large group of people congregating together, right? Are they gonna give people the meal and then send them on their way, or are they gonna filter them in a few at a time?
You know, and I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure they will have some consideration for how to do that.
In the event that the rest of the year is wiped out, will there be an alternate plan for commencement, or
That's
do you
what
have
we'll,
thoughts?
well,
on that?
we'll, you know, that's one of the things that we'll begin to start to plan. I don't know that we've gotten that far into it. At this point, we just wanted to make sure and get the word out. There was a lot of, in particular from our classified staff, you know, about compensation, about work, you know. So we wanted to ease people's minds, say, you know, we close school till April the 13th or 14th. You're covered till then, and we're gonna make plans to make sure that we can transition after that if the closure lasts longer, which, you know, as we watch the numbers, you know, we would not anticipate that this thing is gone 3 weeks from now.
I just want to say, just echo the thoughts about how quickly you came to the right decision about going ahead and paying our certified, our staff, our hourly staff. That was, I think, the best thing to do, and we get to keep those people, and we don't make a bad situation worse. So I appreciate your quick response on that.
Would there, now this is just an idea, if we were to have a longer closure, would it be possible to really clean the buildings during that time and have some of that support staff help?
Right, and
Or
so,
give them the option.
right, the conversations that we'll have, I think if it goes beyond our break, is that, we are, over these next few weeks, developing a whole list of, we may be able to, a lot of the work that gets done in the summertime, we can just get a head start on that. Cleaning, painting, minor repairs, major repairs. I'm sure there's inventorying and filing and any number of different opportunities to make sure that we keep people busy. And then we'll look and see if we can make sure and stagger those schedules so that there's not large groups of people working together, but maybe we have kind of a modified schedule that will reduce the number of people who are here, spread them out, keep them busy so they can continue to get paid.
Other questions or comments? Thank you.
We probably need to make a motion.
Oh, yes, I see that, I'm sorry.
I will make a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation for pay to essential staff during the school closure.
We have a motion? We have a second? Whenever you're ready.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Mrs. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0-0. And we have personnel before us. As there are two parts to this, for simplicity's sake, I will go ahead and recommend, I will move to hire David Cochran and Samantha Walker upon successful completion of statute requirements for state statute, the revised statutes of Missouri, 162.068, when those are met. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. You want to just remind us what that is?
Yes, so, there's a new state statute out that, when we hire teachers or certified staff, you have to contact the most previous district that they worked at to make sure there's no sexual misconduct that occurred with this, certified staff member. With the COVID-19, the district these people had worked at previously is shut down. So we talked to our district attorneys on what's a way we could do this, because we know we need to hire people, and then if they fulfill that requirement, then they can be hired. If they don't, then of course they would meet those requirements.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, passes 7-0-0. And then I will move to approve the remainder of the personnel as presented.
Second.
Questions or comments quickly? I just meant, do you have a quick question?
Brito.
All right.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, 7-0-0. And then we have the wireless enhancement situation, which is a whole boatload of acronyms. Do you want to?
Actually, Dana could probably speak to this. E-rate, is that when most of this is?
Yes, this is all E-rate, and it just needs your approval. Upon your all approval, then E-rate has to approve it before it, so it still has more approvals. And they just help fund, wireless enhancements. This is category 2, so I'm requesting wireless because we can utilize it. And they pay 80% of whatever we go out for. So it's a good program. Other than the Career Center. The Career Center we have to pay for because those kids are counted in their other schools. So it goes on enrollment, student enrollment, for how much money we get.
I'll make a motion to approve the provision data solutions for $181,365 for wireless enhancements pending approval of USAC.
Thank you.
Second?
We have a second? Whenever you're ready, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes. Passes 700. And we have a policy first reading. So this is just to acquaint ourselves with it. And Dr. Templeton, I think, introduced this at a previous meeting, but this is to change our policy about taking leave or sick days on those weather cancellation days. And the question, as you can see here in the notes, is do we want this to go into effect for next year or be backdated to the start of the current year? And we don't have to answer that question at the moment, but it will have to be answered. Is there anything else you want to tell us about that?
I think, what you said pretty much covers it. We just updated it so that those people, primarily it's like food service, transportation, paras, and some secretaries who are not here all year, every day. When we don't have school, they don't get to come to work, and if we don't make up those days, then it's lost income for them. So this would allow them to use accumulated sick leave to continue to get paid.
All right. So this, go ahead.
So if we don't decide on this question tonight, how do they, if we ultimately decide that would go in effect for this year, how do they get paid for the snow days we wasn't having?
We'll just go back and count those up and how many days we missed, and we would calculate what we owe them, and then they would come as a part of one-time payment.
Would that happen automatically, or would they have to opt into taking those
They'd have
days?
to take their leave, so they'd have to designate, I want to use, I think we missed 7 days.
So they'd
right?
count their days, basically.
So they'd have to say, I want to use 7 days of sick so that I get paid for these days.
I guess my question, if I had any at all, would be, can they choose to pick, so with 7 days, like this year, can they say I want 4 or not?
Yeah, it's up to them to say, I want to use a day for that. Or they could say, no, I'm good.
It's
I'd
not,
rather save my day.
all or nothing.
Yeah.
So this will be brought back to us in April? And we'll vote on it. Bethany, do you want to tell us about DocuSign?
Yes. So, many school districts use, electronic signatures for contracts, for teaching contracts. Because once we send it out, it goes out the paper, they have 15 days. This is just a way to streamline and, basically email it out. They still have their 15 days by law. And it just really, it's no paper, because it's all gonna be electronically filed. It's gonna be, I can even see like when somebody opens one, I can kind of track that process. We're also looking at doing my entire employment paperwork packet, like your W-4s, I-9, just all the forms that we have, doing electronic signature with that. So it's gonna save a lot of time and money. So people would be going online and filling out these forms, and then they would be submitted that way.
Is would you say 14 or 15 day period, is that statutory? They would still have 15 days even with the electronic?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with DocuSign order form.
Thank you. We have a second. Further questions or clarification?
We use DocuSign when we bought our house, and it was very easy. Any changes would be emailed and signed right then instead of taking a trip, going to sign it, getting notarized. So I think this will be really good, like you said, for saving time and money.
And paper.
In paper.
Whenever you're ready, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, passed 7-0-0. And now we have a series of separation agreements.
They all have to be approved separately.
They have to be approved separately.
I'll make a motion to approve the separation agreement with Catherine Cuban.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a second. Given the nature of these agreements, if you have a question that can be asked, you can, of course, but otherwise we'll proceed to the vote.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, approved 7-0-0. Do we keep going?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the separation agreement with Deborah Hall.
We have a second.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, approved 7-0-0.
I will make a motion to approve the separation agreement with Gerald Hercules.
Thank you. We have our motion. We have our second.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, approved 7-0-0.
I will make a motion to approve the separation agreement with Martha Nebrall.
Second.
We have a second. We have a motion. We have a second.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, approved 7-0-0.
Right now. I'll make a motion to approve the separation agreement with Jennifer Shoemaker.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, approved 7-0-0.
I will make a motion to approve the separation agreement with Sherry Sumwall.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Abstain.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, approved 6-0-1.
I will make a motion to approve the separation agreement with Dr. Zachary Pendleton.
Second.
We have a motion. We have our second.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, approved 7-0-0. Thank you all. Now we have the stormwater management facilities maintenance agreement. This is from the City of Mexico.
I will make a motion to approve the stormwater management BMP facilities maintenance agreement.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. This is fairly straightforward, but are there any questions or discussion? All right.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, approved 7-0-0. And We have a change order to the storm sewer. Some undiscovered piping, I guess.
When they were doing the storm sewer by Eugene Field, they came across a pipe that they didn't know was there. They had to go around it.
Should that read an unknown sanitation sewer?
I don't know, I put it how they told me.
I don't know what a sanity sewer is.
Well,
Yeah, that's probably from their email.
Yeah,
Well, it's been driving them crazy.
it drives me crazy. That's right.
we
You
have,
don't have it.
we have some sewer issues.
All right. So,
It's just informational too, because it's under the threshold for you all to have to approve.
now you know, it's gonna be about, what, $1,000 was the? And then GCPD, again, first reading.
So we had language in our contracts regarding, the buyout if you, leave after certain dates for administrators. It was in their contract. It wasn't in our policy, which doesn't make them contradict, but our attorneys felt like it'd be better if the policy and the contracts matched each other, so we're just adding some language into the policy to be in line with what we were putting in administrator contracts.
And does this impact the teacher deadlines as well, or is there a different set of language?
The teacher stuff was already in the policy.
So again, we don't make a decision this evening, but it will come back to us in April. And there will not be a Region 17 meeting at the moment, so there will be a recorded webinar. We don't know when that will be yet, though.
They're not in session either at MSBA.
Right. All right, then.
We probably should have put it in the agenda, but, and maybe everybody knows, but the April election got delayed until June. And so due to that, the existing board stays in place until someone replaces someone due to the election. So Mr. Rao got an extension.
All right. Yes, are you ready to read the magic language?
I will make a motion to adjourn to a closed session maybe to be held to discuss these subjects, personnel, student records, and real estate, in a closed vote and closed record pursuant to RSMO 610.021, sections 2, 3, 6, 13, and 14.
Second.
We have a second. So we have a motion, we have a second.
Mrs. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rao,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Dement,
Yes.
Ms. Teal,
Yes.
Mr. Pasco.
Yes, we're adjourned 7:00. We'll just take a quick break and come back and be in effect.